I'm trying to wrap my mind around this news with Nintendo. It's actually very interesting because, well, okay, let's just look into the details. Zelda Breath of the Wild, its DLC is not included in the Switch 2 version of the game. Now, I wonder what all they could be talking about here. It says pricing has been a controversial topic. This is Game Informer's article, by the way, written by Brian Shear. A controversial topic following last week's Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. Whether you're talking the announced 450 base model, $80 price tag of Mario Kart World, or even the $10 the company wants players to spend on the tech demo slash instruction manual Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. This is very strange, guys. I don't know any company. I mean, this is even PlayStation, right? Did not sell you Astro's Playroom separately. It just came with the console. I have a PS5, so I remember it's there. It's one of the games that you own. Now it says many have expressed frustration and disappointment with Nintendo's pricing strategy coming off the heels of the wildly successful and often more affordable Nintendo Switch. And that's before the Trump administration's tariff postponed US and Canada's pre-orders as Nintendo contemplated raising the price further. Now, I'm not certain they contemplated raising the price. This is just what's being speculated, I've heard, but it could be that they were actually or they are contemplating raising the prices. One of the more consumer-friendly announcements came in the form of how Nintendo is handling the upgrades for the two Switch entries in Legend of Zelda franchise, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. If you already owned those games, I actually do own these games. I remember buying them for the kids. It says you can upgrade the Switch 2 version, which adds improved frame rate and resolution, as well as access to the new Zelda Notes app functionality, which offers additional lore in the form of voice memos. The ability to send items and Ultra Hand blueprints to friends, and a voiced GPS system. Even better, Nintendo offers the update at no additional cost for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack subscribers. So basically, they're paying for it. I keep seeing people saying, "Oh, it's free." It's just how people that they say things are free when it comes to like Game Pass and the subscription service. I keep wondering in my mind, what are they talking about? It's already been paid for. However, we learned this week that the upgraded version of Breath of the Wild does not include downloadable content. Originally reported by IGN, Game Informer obtained a statement from a Nintendo spokesperson confirming this news. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, does not include the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Expansion Pass, DLC, the statement said. The DLC is available as a separate purchase. A very interesting turn of events. Now, this is where I think gamers are starting to, in a sense, question why they engage with, what's their name, Nintendo on this particular paradigm. For instance, and I'm going to go ahead and fire up a game here, and we'll look at hardware, we'll look at a whole bunch of stuff, and you'll realize that one thing that gamers that play on PC are starting to, or have always realized, I guess I'll put it that way, is that ownership in these video games is very weird. The game is, and its IP and its characters and its, all of what the game provides is owned by its respective IP owners and, holders and so on and so forth. The only thing that you have as the gamer is the hardware. And these IP holders and, whatever they are, usually want to control the landscape. They usually want to tell you what to do. And when people go play on PC, there's a limited amount of, telling what to do that happens on PC because there are varying PC SKUs. A lot of different people are using different kinds of PCs and such. So what happens is the developers, for their own sanity, have to actually go out there and make one software SKU that can be compatible with numerous one software build that can be compatible with numerous hardware pieces. And hence, they're going to go ahead and scale the game to pretty much allow for the best PC builds that comes out at any given time to possibly be able to go ahead and leverage their game. In this case, we have the video game Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This is a game that's used a lot in in PC benchmarks and such. I'm running this game on new hardware, the Radeon RX 9070 XT. In this particular, situation, in this particular scenario, I have the, capability to run this game at what the hardware is going to run the game without Square Enix coming on the back end to tell me, hey man, give us more money. I can choose to reduce my resolution. I can choose to work with the different display and graphic settings to turn on or turn off whatever, extra graphics options are given to me. And I can run the game and just play however it is that I want to play. This is where I think the whole talk about Nintendo Switch coming with this particular thing is kind of weird. Even on the PlayStation side, some PlayStation games, except Bloodborne, that is, have the capability of, going ahead to do this. And by the way, this game is playing right now at 4K. And its FPS right now is about 135 FPS. It's just insane, right? The very first time I played and beat this game, I don't think the GPU I used was anything more than, say, a 980 Ti. I think it was probably around that. Then I used that particular GPU to basically go ahead and play the game and beat the game. And it was actually a lot of fun. It was a good game. It's a solid title. I really enjoyed a lot of the game, and so to me, I thought I got my money's worth. But thinking about the fact that now I have new hardware, and if I say I wanted to replay the game, the hardware does not need Square Enix, and Square Enix understands that they don't need to come out here and start regulating it. And so this is where we see the discrepancy between console and PC. In this particular regard, on console, the developers know and realize that they can do and control a lot more. On PC, it's actually quite different at the end of the day. So what I'm seeing with what Nintendo is doing, to me, is not a pro-consumer move. I don't think that they're actually taking into account what this will all look like at the end of the day. Because, if you kind of think about it, ladies and gentlemen, man, this is just quite wild that they would put their own consumers in a situation where they feel the need, to complain, right? Like, man, why do you have to pay an extra $10? Imagine if they told me that I had to pay an extra $10 to be able to leverage what, this Tomb Raider game had to offer. That would be absurd. Don't you think any other company would basically hear, how absurd this is? But somehow, it seems like Nintendo is going to get away with this. Like, they're really going to go ahead and get away with this particular reality. And people are going to... I'm not saying anybody shouldn't do what they wish to do with their money. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this is going to be, very interesting, to see how this goes on. I don't know, bro. This is definitely a wild time to be a gamer. If you're playing on the console side. If you're playing on the PC side, yes, there are challenges there as well. But I can't stress enough, nor can I, I cannot overstate how much of a disappointment this is, in my opinion, with Nintendo. Seeing that anybody who basically has a game and gets new hardware can pretty much enjoy the game on whatever performance that they want to enjoy the game on without having to worry about the publisher, and all. And in a time when this is now a reality and we have way better hardware and such, Nintendo feels the need to go ahead and do this. Man, this is wild. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. We'll talk a little bit more about this. We'll talk about a few other games that are available out here. And hopefully we can talk, even about what the ethical pieces of this actually means and how gamers are going to interact with this. Thanks again for watching. Peace out.